Hello again, everyone. Dave Benson here, Senior Advisor for Threat Mitigation and Global Operations for the Center for Personal Protection and Safety. I want to briefly touch on communication, how important that is, not only to a comprehensive workplace violence prevention program, but certainly it's the linchpin of threat assessment and threat management. How communication can and does come in several different varieties, if you will. And they all have to be factored in and considered. I want to talk about some recent trends that I've seen that kind of evolved even before the pandemic, but has certainly been exacerbated. So I want to make you aware of those. And then finally, a reminder to let's keep it simple. Let's go back to the basics of threat assessment, that regardless of what the latest flavor of the month is, as far as threatening behavior, how it's being communicated, that we need to keep in mind the basics involved of behavioral threat assessment. So let's get started with that. You know, communication is the lifeblood of our society. And in my opinion, a lack of communication or miscommunication or poor communication is also a source of a lot of societal ills. The lack of understanding one another, what we mean, what we say, and in what context can really cause problems for us. And this certainly has been exacerbated during this pandemic period. Communications can and does come in various different forms. And as threat assessors, threat managers, we have to be able to pay attention to all of those. We don't rule one out as the exclusion to others. For example, maybe 15, 20 years ago, written threats were more prevalent, or telephone threats. But now with social media, we have several different platforms that some of this inappropriate behavior is expressed, and we as threat management teams and organizations have to be able to respond to that. As that's being said, I've discerned some recent trends. And that's one of the reasons why I told the center I wanted to have a little bit of a conversation about this. So the trends I have seen is what used to be something that would be somewhat private, or we might keep it to ourselves, have now become more in the forefront. And I call it, for lack of a better term, the weaponization of certain types of speech. What do I mean? Political affiliations. We've always had these conversations, but in the last few years, they've become very hostile, very jaded, and in some cases, can cross over into hate speech. Medical information, personal responsibility or lack thereof. All these things, everyone has opinions and wants to justify their opinion. But what I'm seeing now is, particularly in the threat assessment, threat management world, is those things are becoming weaponized. For example, are you a Democrat or a Republican or an independent? Are you pro-mask or anti-mask? Are you pro-vaccination, anti-vaccination? Are you pro-vaccine mandates and mask mandates? Are you anti? Again, all of these things are neither right nor wrong. And in another context, we wouldn't be as concerned now. But we are now seeing individuals lashing out, making threats, ultimatums, and in some cases, even threatening or talking about the potential for violence based upon an organization's view of these things. Now, I want to quickly hearken to one stark reality. You can't win with this. This is not being on the right side or the wrong side. As a matter of fact, that concept of right and wrong has gotten so blurred, it's actually become a tender point. So, organizations that decide to follow mask and vaccine mandates, or do not, or once did, and now, as we're seeing, have decided not to, you are going to get fallout. regardless of where you are on the spectrum. So the answer here is not so much what your position is, it's how you deal with the information that you get. And then finally, let's keep it as simple as behavioral threat assessment can be, and it's not particularly simple, but there are some basic components. Talk is cheap. Actions speak louder than words. Is there episodes or incidents of continuing concern or change in behavior? Is there planning behavior? Does that individual possess the wherewithal to carry out a threat that they're talking about? And specific targeting. Regardless of how potential threat information comes our way, we have to go back to the basics and see if those things are present.